Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to my channel where I share bits and pieces of my life with you. So a couple days ago, I posted a couple polls and quizzes on my Instagram asking my followers if they know how to take care of their hair's porosity, and their hair goals. So I noticed that within the people who knew how to take care of their hair and had hair goals such as length, manageability, definition, and moisturization, they basically didn't know their hair porosity but said they also knew how to take care of their hair, which didn't make much sense to me. And a lot of people also just didn't know what hair porosity meant. Never heard of the word porosity.
By the way, side note, if you want to participate in future Instagram polls and quizzes that I do on hair and stuff like that, make sure you follow my Instagram at @BJBell so you can participate and become an active follower, all that good stuff, and we can just have fun with it.
So that's basically what I'm going to be explaining to you guys today. I'll be explaining to you what hair porosity is, why does it matter, and what does it mean for your TLC hair regime. I'm going to try to make this fun for you guys because I know this can be a difficult topic, and I know you just heard my knee crack, but I'm going to keep going and actually have some fun myself too. So let's go. So this is what a hair follicle looks like up close. It just looks like a straight cylindrical thing, a strand, right? And on this strand there are cuticles. The way the cuticles are positioned will basically determine how you need to take care of your hair and your TLC regime, etc. So high porosity means that the hair cuticles are completely risen, basically. Normal or medium porosity means that the hair cuticles on the follicle, the main follicle, they're not, too risen, not too closed off. And low porosity basically means that the cuticles on the hair follicle are too closed, too sealed off. You may be wondering, why am I telling you this? It's because porosity tells you how to moisturize your hair, how it retains moisture. It has all to do with the most important part of a curly, kinky, coily person's hair.
Whether or not you want that length, the definition, the waves, the manageability, that is all determinant on how your hair takes in that moisture, which depends on your porosity.
So I already told you guys what high porosity hair is, what a high porosity hair follicle looks like. Its cuticles on the follicle are too high, so that means that it doesn't retain moisture, and that means it's more prone to breakage, tangles, knots, etc. In order to explain this to you guys and make it fun, I'm going to be using my clothes. Just this much. So these clothes represent moisture, okay? And I represent the follicle, the hair follicle. So this is what it's like moisturizing high porosity hair.
Also high porosity hair. And you can't under moisturize it, because it will get dry and tangle up. And that right there is what we are witnessing, people. We are witnessing a hair follicle turning into a knot right before our eyes.
So from that example, you can see I was applying like a whole bunch of moisturizer to the hair follicle, but literally a day later, all the oils and moisturizers that you put on there are gone. Why? Because it just like soaks it up, and so it's just bare again.
I forgot to mention this, but if you notice that your hair dries very fast after being saturated, then you probably have high porosity hair. If you notice that after applying a whole bunch of moisturizer on your hair, like a day later, your hair is like dry again, then you probably have high porosity hair. And if you notice that you tend to have a lot more knots, tangles, and or breakage, then you might have high porosity hair.
What does that mean for your TLC regime? That means that protein treatments are your friend. Protein treatments, deep conditioners, what else? Mud masks, apple cider vinegar rinses are great for all hair types, but also especially for low and high porosity hair. But stuff like that really strengthens your hair follicle is really good for you. Second, using thin tooth combs are so not good for your hair. Any other hair accessories that pull at your strand, where your strands aren't like naturally loosening itself, is not good for your hair. I would highly suggest that you either finger detangle or you use a wide tooth comb. Please stay away from thin tooth combs because that goes for any kinky, curly, wavy, person's hair, you do not want to use a thin tooth comb on thick hair. That's just not, no. No. And lastly, use sealing methods. So the most common sealing method is the LOC method. L stands for leave-in conditioner or liquid, which can be like water or whatever. O stands for oil, which is jojoba oil, coconut oil, grapeseed oil, any type of Jamaican black castor oil, any type of oil really. And C stands for cream. But for high porosity hair, guess what? You want to use butters for your cream. Mango butter, shea butter. I don't know if there's a such thing as cocoa butter. Anything that's thick that can really seal in that moisture is good for your hair. I use the LCO method because that works best for me, but whatever works best for you, please use it, because sealing is what's key to properly moisturizing high porosity hair. Next, low porosity hair. Low porosity hair, I already explained to you guys, is basically where the cuticles on the hair follicle are too closed, too sealed. So that means that it's hard for moisture to penetrate the hair strand. So this is what it's like moisturizing low porosity hair. And action.
Also low porosity hair.
Yo, how long have you had that on? 5 days. So as you can see, as I tried to moisturize the hair strand, it just kept on just like slipping right off and didn't necessarily penetrate the hair strand. That is a direct example of when someone with low porosity hair stands in the shower, begins to do their wash day routine, whatever. When the water's hitting the hair strands, you'll see the water is just like gliding off. It's almost like an umbrella, if that makes sense. It's just repel, 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 and then all of a sudden, okay, we'll take it in. So if you notice that it takes a long time for your hair to be completely saturated, you probably have low porosity hair. If you notice that it takes your hair a really long time to dry, you probably have low porosity hair. Retain moisture really, really well. Say you moisturize your hair on a Sunday, then that Friday you notice that your hair is not just moisturized, but it might just be completely like oily and too moisturized. And that's another thing. If you realize that you get product buildup very easily, you probably have low porosity hair. So what does this mean for your TLC regime, low porosity peepsels? Steam and heating treatments are your best friend. Ride or die, all that. So basically, say you put in a deep conditioner and you decide to like start showering and everything, you should put on a plastic cap, because the heat that your head releases is going back and forth between the plastic cap that you're putting on, which is formulating your own like heating treatment, which in return helps that deep conditioner, that conditioner, whatever, to penetrate the hair follicle, which is great for low porosity hair. Second, when you're ready to style your hair, you don't want to put a lot of cream or moisturizer on your hair. Put a couple spritz on there, focus on the ends. Put your moisturizer on there, not a lot, because low porosity hair is prone to product buildup. That way, as the days go by, your hair is just slowly taking in that moisture and not getting clogged from putting in too much moisture. That's how you properly moisturize low porosity hair. Now, the last porosity, normal porosity hair. The cuticles on the follicle are not too high, not too low, and sealed off. That way it properly takes in moisture. It can take heat, it can take, you know, all sorts of different stuff. You can probably style it very easily. Here is an example of what it's like moisturizing normal porosity hair. So as you had seen, you can put that moisture on there, you can take some moisture out, whether it be through heat, through dyeing your hair. Normal porosity hair is very easy to manage. If you don't experience any of what I just said before with high porosity and low porosity hair, then you have normal porosity, most likely. Beware normal porosity peepsules. You don't want to dye your hair too much, put too much heat on there. Why? Because even though you have normal porosity hair, if you over dye and, you know, get some heat damage and stuff like that, best believe you can go from normal porosity to high porosity hair. You can change porosities. That's why a lot of people who dye their hair realize that they have to put a lot more work into their hair, because that chemical changes their hair's porosity. And which that doesn't mean that high porosity hair people, you know, that doesn't mean y'all have damaged hair, because you can be born with high porosity hair. If your hair is not the previous porosity that it was before you put that stuff in your hair, or after you manipulated it a specific way, your hair is probably damaged. So normal porosity people, please, 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 even though it's easy to take care of your hair, as long as your hair isn't changing within you putting that heat and stuff like that, keep doing that. Just beware that it can change if you do it too much.
Now that we've touched through the land of high porosity, low porosity, and normal porosity, it's now time to bring these lands together.
There's only 3 porosities in your hair, but sometimes people have more than 1 porosity in their hair. No one really talks about that for some reason. I don't know why, because a lot of people go through multi-porous hair. If you have damage in like one section of your hair, then you probably have multi-porous hair. Even if you might not have damage in a specific part of your hair, and you realize that, why is my hair acting this way on this side and a different way on this side? Why is it da da da? You might have multi-porous hair, but here's a test that'll help you guys decide 100% what your hair's porosity is. So this test is called the strand test. What you're gonna do is take a small section, very small. This is not my hair. Make sure you're holding this very tightly. And you take your other hand, your other 2 fingers, and you just go upward towards your face. And if you notice that it is extremely smooth, you probably have low porosity hair. But if you go up against the hair follicle and you notice that it's rough, you probably have high porosity hair. Normal porosity, if you're going upward and you don't feel neither of those things, you probably have normal porosity hair. So to determine if you have multi-porous hair, you can do this test on different sections of your hair. So you can, you might start here, and then to check it out on this side, do a small section over here. Over here, over here, over here, and if you want to, towards the cap of your head. If you realize that you have a different porosity in a specific part of your head, it's okay. Just figure out if you've done anything to your hair significantly, like put heat on there, put like dye it, or put a chemical on there, or it could be the fact of your detangling methods. If you're not properly detangling your hair, kind of ripping through knots, and just being kind of impatient with your hair's detangling process, then that could also be another factor as to why you have multi-porous hair. You don't have to treat different parts of your head like differently depending on the porosity. If you have multi-porous hair, you can treat it the same as what the majority of your hair's porosity is. Now, if you have damage, you might just have to like either do some type of protein treatment, henna treatment, something, or if that doesn't work, you might just have to big chop, in which big chopping is not that big a deal because it just grows right back. But regardless of your hair's porosity, we should just love our hair and take care of it best as we can. Please, if you have any questions, please leave them below. Any questions, concerns, critiques, comments, etc., just leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. That really helps, so that helps me get great content to you guys. Since I have high porosity hair, I will be posting a very detailed yet aesthetically pleasing wash day routine of when I take this hair out, this protective style out. Best believe my hair needs all sorts of moisture, deep conditioning, masks, and all the TLC it needs. Make sure you tune into that, especially if you really want to know how I take care of my high porosity hair. I don't know if you've seen my hair journey video, but I did big chop like about 2 years ago. Now my hair is about here now. If you guys want to see how I've been able to grow my hair back and what I do during my wash day routines, tune into that. I would love to help you guys with that. Without further ado, I really hope this video was helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a blessed and beautiful day, and I will see you guys in my next video.
Ryan Little.